Headaches for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, with his controversial promise to annex parts of the West Bank stalled, with an unnamed US official saying that Washington isn't giving the go-ahead for now. Testing for coronavirus is being ramped up, with fears a second wave of infections is upon us here in Israel. We'll go live to our correspondent on the ground. And violent protests in the United States enter their 8th day as a response by US President Donald Trump leaves other world leaders speechless. Hello, I'm Sarah Coates. Thanks for joining me. Well, Israel's plans to annex parts of the West Bank, as per the controversial Trump administration's Mideast peace plan, look to be put on ice, with a senior US source telling Israeli media that the US administration is unlikely to give a green light for the move in July after pushing the idea for months. Now, on Tuesday, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu met with settler leaders after a conversation with US officials who were tasked with creating that so-called peace plan between Israel and Palestinians, with the PM emerging from that meeting saying right now is an historic opportunity for Israel to annex territory in the West Bank. And for more on this story, I'm joined by international security analyst Martin Himmel. Martin, nice to have you on this morning. We know that Netanyahu yesterday met with these settler leaders, but now we are hearing, as I mentioned, this plan may be put on ice. Tell me what kind of reactions are coming in.
Well, basically from the United States, and this is led mostly by the president's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, there's a feeling that not to rush, to hold back. And that's partially due to the fact that the U.S. key allies in the region, the Gulf states, Egypt, Jordan, feel that this is going to be a major destabilizing force on their countries. And the U.S. really needs the Gulf states now and the other ones as well. It's very preoccupied with what's going on internally. It's also facing a challenge with China that it's precipitating, and it doesn't need more destabilization in the Middle East. So for now, they want to put it on hold.
Okay, Martin, what about long term, though? We've heard about this for such a long time. Can we just expect this to be something for now, or can we expect the US to come back a little later on, let's say in a few months, and back it once again?
Well, certainly Prime Minister Netanyahu will push to do this before the election. He wants to put a new reality in the ground, a limited Israeli annexation. The reason is, who's going to be the next president? We don't know. If it's going to be Joe Biden and the Democrats, this plan is going to be permanently shelved.
All right, Martin, we did hear a lot of very, very angry responses from the Palestinians. Only a few weeks ago, Mahmoud Abbas announced that all ties with Israel would be cut. Tell me, what are we hearing from that side of the fence?
Well, the Palestinians have kept the rhetoric a little lower. They haven't taken super extreme action. They have limited connections with Israel. But it's really the quiet, powerful statements coming from Amman and the Gulf. The King of Jordan has said this would be a seriously destabilization force on the peace treaty. Let's not forget, Israel has the longest peaceful border with Jordan on any of its borders. If Jordan becomes destabilized because of this limited annexation, or it breaks off the peace treaty, that's going to be a big blow to stability in the area. And certainly Israel and Jordan wouldn't want that. So there are serious repercussions if this limited annexation happens now.
All right, Martin Himmel there. Always a pleasure having you on. Thank you for that analysis. Now to a developing story, and the Palestinian Authority has told Khan News that funding in full tax revenue has been received from Israel. And for more on this story, let's bring in our Middle East correspondent, Adi Koplowitz. Adi, thanks for joining me. Explain for our viewers at home what all of this means.
Well, there are over 5,000 Palestinian prisoners in Israel which were convicted with terror felonies in Israel. The Palestinian Authority is paying a monthly fee, a salary, to each of their families. This is a step that is considered wide consensus in Palestinian society. Each one of these prisoners is considered part of the Palestinian struggle for independence and freedom, and the Palestinian Authority pays this fee to the families in order to show their support in the Palestinian struggle. Now, Israel passed a law just a few months ago prohibiting transferring money to the Palestinian Authority in the exact sum of the cost of these salaries. Now, Israel is collecting a big portion of the Palestinian tax money, and this law actually states that Israel cannot pass the amount of money needed to pay the salaries to those families of these prisoners in the Palestinian Authority. Now what we're hearing is that Israel is indeed transferring the whole sum of money, all of the tax money that belongs to the Palestinian Authority, including this sum of money that is the cost of these salaries. This means that the Palestinian Authority can now repay these families and guarantee these fees are coming to these families. Now, this could be a step done by Israel intentionally in order to calm spirits down within the West Bank in the Palestinian Authority. Not paying the salaries to these families is considered to be a step that could very much destabilize the Palestinian Authority, and it's very important for the Palestinian Authority to keep on paying these fees.
And as you mentioned, Adi, the timing of this is really important. We do know that in the West Bank, in the Palestinian territories, they're really suffering due to coronavirus, with the economy somewhat collapsing there. Tell me, what kind of response are we hearing to this decision, to this announcement?
Well, this wasn't really a public announcement within Israel. Of course, this is somewhat embarrassing to the Israeli government that promised not to transfer this amount of money again and again. Now, the fact of this money being transferred has leaked outside and really paints the Israeli government as one that gave some sort of an announcement not to pay this money. Now, it is paying it. However, this could be some sort of step taken by the Israeli government in order to keep ease in the Palestinian Authority and prevent this destabilization. Likud lawmaker Avi Dichter is the one who proposed this law to prohibit transferring the money that is paid to these families in the Palestinian Authority. And he is, of course, very angry with the fact that the Israeli government is not following this law for the last 3 months, stating this morning in an interview that this law binds everyone, including Prime Minister Netanyahu.
So, Adi, tell me, what sort of precedent does this set? I'm sure, once, if in fact this does get confirmed, we can expect some very angry voices from the Israeli side, especially from families of those people who may have been victims of terror attacks.
Definitely. There was a very long campaign in order to prevent this money from being transferred to the Palestinian Authority, especially from the side of families of the victims of these terror attacks. However, it is important to mention, even when this sum of money wasn't transferred to the Palestinian Authority, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said that even if there will be no money for food in the Palestinian Authority, these families of these prisoners will still get their monthly fee. And it's important to understand, these families of Palestinian prisoners who were convicted in terror with Israel are in the heart of the Palestinian consensus. There is no scenario in which the Palestinian Authority stops paying the monthly fees to these families, even if it comes on the account of other things that the Palestinian Authority has to invest money in. Even when the Palestinian economy is on the verge of collapsing, the Palestinian Authority will have to keep on paying these fees in order to keep itself stable and in the middle of the Palestinian consensus.
And Adi, just finally, tell me, we did mention that the economy really hurting there. How dire is that situation?
Well, the Palestinian economy definitely deteriorated during the time of coronavirus. There was a very harsh lockdown all over the West Bank for almost 3 months. It is trying now to recover a little bit. We do have to say Israel did assist the Palestinian Authority to some extent. It gave a little more of the tax money than it usually does. And Israel has a lot of control of what's happening to the Palestinian economy, as it holds both the tax money of the Palestinian Authority and also the ability to demand from the Palestinian Authority to pay for different civil services getting from Israel. This includes water supply, electricity supply. If Israel lets the Palestinian Authority postpone some of these payments, this could give them some air to breathe and could give the Palestinian economy some time to recover from the coronavirus crisis.
Certainly a very interesting story, and one we'll be following very closely. Adi Kopowitz, thank you. And we are going out for a short break, but when we come back, we'll bring you the very latest from the United States, where protesters and police continue to face off as violent protests over the killing of black man George Floyd continue. All of that and plenty more. Stay with us.